so what I'm going to do in this tutorial is just go over all the different functions of Razer and how they should be used and what they do basically. So before I get started, I'm going to go to more options. I'm going to force game size, so I have to log in before it'll work. I'm going to set my screen size to 1800 by 1000. Now the numbers you use here depend on the resolution you're using. I've got a pretty big screen, so I'm going to set it up like this. And I'm going to log out. And so now I've logged back in and my screen is still small. That's okay. What I'm going to do is go to options. I'm going to click this eye, which is second from the top on the right. I'm going to set gameplay window size to 800 by 600. And now my screen is pretty large. So I'm going to go back to the general tab. So first we're going to go through filters. So these are the things that they're like, what they do essentially is remove certain aspects of the game. So death status, what it does is it removes the fade to black saying you are dead when you die. So I know when I'm dead, I don't need it to tell me, so I'm going to remove that. Light levels is this. So when you go into dungeons, it's pretty dark. What removing light levels does is make it so it's always daytime. So I'm going to turn that on for sure. Bard's music, dog sounds, cat sounds, horse sounds, sheep sounds. So if I don't disable that, what it does is essentially this. Like if I play my tambourine, I should be able to hear it. So if I filter Bard's music and then play my tambourine, you don't hear it at all. So for this, I'm just going to turn off all of these things because I don't really need to hear them. Spirit speak sound, yeah, don't need to hear that. Spell fizzle sound, backpack sound, spells, I'm going to leave those all on. It's important to know if you fizzle a spell so then you can cast another one. It's important to sometimes hear spells so you know how to heal them or that they're being casted at all. And weather, I'm going to filter as well. Rewards gump you don't need to worry about, there is no rewards gump here, so that's up to you. Show welcome screen. Welcome screen is a screen that happens when you start Razer. It'll show you what server you're connected to, what UO directory you're using. I always leave that on since I have to switch constantly what UO directory I'm using. Smart CPU usage reduction. I turn that on. I don't need to be using a ton of CPU for Razer. Some people don't have great computers, so you might want to leave that on. Smart always on top I have checked on. What this does is when I click to the Razer, or the game, sorry, and have Razer on my screen, it'll still show me all the options. So if I turn it off and click on the screen, it disappears. Yeah. So show in taskbar system tray, that's just where your Razer is going to appear on your screen. I have it in taskbar because that's the way I like it. It's personal preference. Default client priority, normal, that's fine. Language, choose a language you speak. I speak English, so I'm going to use English. Profiles, this just allows you to have several profiles set up for different characters. So for instance, if you wanted different hotkeys on one character from another, you could set this up and then all your characters could have different hotkeys. UO positioning system, if I open this up, it shows me a map. Now the great thing about this is it's similar to this. Like these are basically the same, except with the Razer one, I can make it as big as I want. So if you have multiple monitors, you could drag this onto your second monitor and see pretty much the whole world if you really wanted to. You can also double click it so it'll stay on screen when you move around, which is really nice. But I'm going to remove that because it's a bit large. Opacity, this just changes how well you can see Razer. So if you lower the opacity, you can like hardly see it. But I'm going to turn it way back up so I can see it. Alright, let's go to options. Search exemption, Razer message, warning message. I'm not going to change these. That just changes the message color in the bottom left when Razer has an issue or sends you a message. Don't need that. Override speech hue. Yeah, I don't really use that. You could if you want everybody to have the same speech, but I'm not really worried about that. Last target highlight. So when you have someone on last target or something on last target, it should highlight it a specific color so that you can see what you're targeting. Personally, I don't use that. it'll say last target over their head a lot of the time, so that's not that big of a deal. Override spell hues. I know a lot of people do use this. What it essentially does is you can change the spell hue when they cast spells to be a certain color. So if you wanted everybody's beneficial spells to be blue, so whenever your opponents cast Greater Heal, you can see that they're casting Greater Heal easier. Or if they're casting a harmful spell, you can have them all cast a different color so you know what they're loaded with a little bit easier. But that's not something I really bother with. Spell format. The way this works is you have power and you have spell. So power refers to the power words like Vazort Flam or Corpor. Spell is what they're actually casting, so Explosion or Energy Bolt. So you could do just spell, you could do just power, it's personal preference. I would normally use both. Use pre-OS AOS status window. I don't even think this works, so I'm not going to bother with that. Q last target and target self. What this does is essentially if you've already hit last target before you cast a spell, it will automatically target last target when the spell comes up. Or if you cast in the Greater Heal and you hit target self before your spell comes up, it'll automatically target you with the Greater Heal. This is a personal preference thing. I don't like using it, but I know some people do. Block dismount in war mode. What this does is makes it so you can't accidentally dismount when you're in combat. Well, not in combat, when you're in war mode, I guess. You can't automatically dismount. So that's a pretty good thing to have if you're playing a Dexter. Auto stack ore fish logs at feet. What this does is, like, say if you're mining and sometimes you get overweight and you can't hold more ore, that ore just gets removed and you lose out on gaining it. So what you can do is put a stack at your feet, and if you have this checked off, it'll automatically put whatever you mined on the ground beside you, so you can just never lose that and get the most out of every node. Open new corpses within 2 tiles. What this does is if you kill a monster within 2 tiles, it'll automatically open the corpse, so it's easier to loot. You don't have to find the corpse and double click it. Sometimes you get a lot of stuff stacked up around the same area. This is just a quality of life thing. I'd recommend using it. Filter repeating system messages. This isn't that important. It's just kind of like a quality of life thing again, I guess. Like if you have a bunch of stuff spamming up the left side of your screen, like can't use object or whatever, that'll just make it into one line. Filter snooping messages. Sometimes this is good, sometimes this is bad. What it does is if somebody's snooping you constantly, it'll just not let you see that you're being snooped. But then you don't know that you're being snooped, so you just have to be more aware of thieves. Show names of incoming peoples and creatures. This is really good. Basically what it does is when you get stuff on your screen like mobiles, it'll show the name, so that's really good. If somebody tries to run onto your screen to kill you, you'll know that they're there and that they're coming. Show names of new incoming corpses. Yeah, I'll generally turn that on too, so if I run into somewhere I can see if there's corpses around, click them easier, open them up. Negotiate features with server. You're going to need to have this turned on. You cannot play without it. It'll disconnect you if you don't have it turned on. So, more options. Show action queue status messages and auto queue object delay actions. What auto object delay does is if you do too many things too quickly, it'll wait and then perform the action when it can, or whatever your object delay is. And this will just tell you what is delayed and how many objects you have in queue. I personally don't use either of these things. I absolutely hate auto object delay, so I always turn it off and set it to 0. Use smart last target. This is pretty good if you're PvPing with another person. What it does is if you cast a heal on your partner or an explode on an enemy or any offensive spell really, or any beneficial spell, it'll save your beneficial and harmful targets. So if I've targeted my friend with a greater heal already by clicking this bar, I can just hit last target and it won't target my enemy with a greater heal, it'll target my friend. And same with explosion. So if I've targeted an offensive spell and I cast an explode and target last target, it'll target my opponent, not my friend. Range check last target. This is really good. It makes it so you can't accidentally drop your spell on someone who's out of range. Should use that. Show target flag on single click. I'm pretty sure this is just notoriety, so you can see when you click someone what their notoriety is. Right now, I'm blue, or I guess green because I'm in a guild. Anything with a lock on it are features that are disabled. So show health above player creatures, show mana stam above party members, auto re-equip hands. These are all disabled. You can't use them. Razor messages. It'll show you warnings and errors, errors only and none. I'm just going to show all. I don't really ever have razor errors, so it's not a big deal. Remember passwords, I don't use. I don't mind typing in my password. I guess if you had multiple profiles set up, you could remember passwords, so if you type in your account name, it'll already remember it, but I'm not going to use that. Treat party members as friends. This is pretty good. What it does is if you're playing with someone and they accidentally go gray, or you're playing with a red and you use the targeting system, you won't accidentally target them with your spells. So that's pretty good. Count stealth steps. You don't need this on UO Forever. You can infinitely stealth as many tiles as you want, so there's no need to keep track. Always show stealth steps. Yep, don't need that either. Automatically open doors. This is pretty nice. What it does is when you run up to a door, it'll automatically open it for you so you can run through it. It's pretty good. Saves you having to double click it. Quality of life thing. It's awesome. Auto unequip hands before casting. Yeah, you don't need this. When you cast a spell, your hands will automatically unequip. It's a server setting, so don't need that. Block heal if target is poisoned. This is pretty good. What it does is if the target you're trying to heal is poisoned, it doesn't drop your spell and then give you the message, this cannot be healed right now. So you can wait essentially till your friend cures, and if you click it too soon, you still have your heal up. It's really good. Enable packet logging. Yeah, I'm not going to bother with that. Don't really know what it does. Alright, so now we're in display encounters. Display encounters are basically this. Like, this is your display, and these are the counters. These little black pearl, blood moss, garlic, bandages. So you've got your counters here in your display. Let's go to the counters first. So it'll tell me I have 150 bandages. So if I turn this off, it won't count how many bandages I have, right? And this doesn't work up here either. So I'll turn that back on. Now it tells me I have 150 bandages, 150 bandages. You can see the format, how it said AIDS up there when I had this turned off. This is the format right here in the brackets. So let's say I want to count my arrows. And it doesn't show up on here even though I'm counting it. What I have to do is type it in here. So I think there's a way, if you just hold your mouse kind of in here, it'll show you all the possible values that are default. So what I'm going to do is type in hit ARW, and now it shows my arrows up here. I mean, I can also look here and see ARW, so that's pretty good. Say I wanted to add something to my counters though that's not already there. You can click on add and give it a name. So I'm going to call this gold. The format GLD. I'm going to target what I want, so I'm going to target my gold here and hit OK. So now I look for gold. There it is. It doesn't show anything because I'm not counting it, but when I do count it, it'll tell me I have 1500 gold. So what I'm going to do now is add in GLD, and now it's going to tell me I have 1500 gold. You can also put in spaces if you want, so like say I space it out, now it's not right beside. You can also edit the order of these things. And we got highlight spell regions on cast, so if I cast a spell, it'll highlight what I'm casting. So for instance, say I wanted to cast a clumsy or something here. See, it'll highlight the spells that it takes to cast it. Show no to in character bar. Yeah, that's pretty good. So it'll tell you if what your notoriety is. Like right now I'm blue. If I committed a criminal action, it would be gray. If I was a murderer, it would be red. Show images with counters. Yeah. So if I turn this off, I just have a bunch of numbers. That doesn't really help me, so I'm going to leave that on. Warn when it counters below 5. So what will happen is if you say you're casting a spell or you're below 5 bandages and you use a bandage, a Razer message will pop up here saying warning below 5 bandages or how many bandages you have. So that's pretty good. I would leave that on. Auto search new containers. What that is when you pick up a bag and put it in your backpack, it'll automatically open it up and tell you what's in it. So like if you pick up a bag and it's got gold in it, it'll add to your gold counter. If you pick it up, it's got regs in it, it'll add to your reg counter. Never auto search pouches. What this does is sometimes you need trap pouches, so this will make it so that you don't automatically break the trap when you pick them up. It's pretty good. I would leave that on. Our address. This is something I almost never use or have never used, but I'll explain how it works. First, you need to add a profile. So I'll say new. We'll click OK. We'll add current. So this is just going to add the current things that I'm wearing. So if I, like, for instance, took some of these things off and hit dress, it'll automatically put them on. Since I'm not using object delay, I have to click this a second time. If I was using object delay, it would just wait until I could put the next item on and then do it. But yeah, I don't like that, so I'd just rather hit it twice. So this is the skills tab here. This just shows you all the different skills you have. A good way to do it is hit base a couple times and it'll show you what your highest skills are. So instead of having to go through your skills tab and select different skills and stuff like that and figure out where they all are, you can just see it all here. The nice thing too is you can right click on certain stuff and set whether it's down, locked, or up. You can also do all the locks at once. So like let's say I wanted everything to point down, I could set everything down. If I wanted to lock everything, I could lock everything. I'll leave it all at up though. Agents, there's a lot of agents here. Use once you don't need. Use once is generally for using pouches. So like if I had a bunch of trap pouches on me, I would add them all to use once, and then when I hit the use once button, it would use one pouch and then remove it from the list and then use the next one in the list. This server has a nice feature. It's called bracket pouch. So if you have a trap pouch, it'll automatically use it for you. It totally negates this. It's really nice to have. The cell agent is blocked, as you can see, so you won't be using that. The organize agent, again, not something you really need. There's a command in the game called organize me. Like that. I type it in, and it'll automatically put all my non-newbie or blessed items into different bags and sort them out for me. So now my gold is in the currency bag. Pretty nice. Totally negates the need for this. So yeah, don't need any of those. Auto search exemptions. What this essentially is it allows you to set up an exemption for the auto search. So if you're, for instance, using a Tinker Trap box or something that you've already lockpicked to kill a thief who's trying to snoop you, you would add that to auto search exemptions so you don't accidentally open it up when you pick it up and kill yourself. That's pretty much the only time you really need to use it, since there's already a thing for pouches. Scavenger is pretty good. I can add different things on a scavenger, so like I'll add gold, put it on the ground. I say I add my bandages, put them on the ground, and then I'm going to enable it. So what happens is when I come near things that are on my scavenger list, it should automatically pick them up. So it's not picking up the gold right now because I've already picked up this item, so you can clear scavenger cache and it'll pick it up. So if I wanted to pick those things up again, I'd put them down. Put them down, clear scavenger cache, and I'll pick them up. The reason the gold is getting caught on the scavenger cache like that though is because I don't have object delay again. So like, let's say I put these two things down. And I had my more options set up. So like, let's say I had like a 1 second, 1000 millisecond object delay, which is 1 second. So now when I come here, it should pick up one and then pick up the other. Alright, buy agents. You can add things that you want to buy. So like let's say I targeted bandages. Enter the amount that I want to buy. Say I wanted to buy 10 bandages. I'd go to a vendor that has bandages, push to enable, and it would automatically buy 10 bandages from the vendor. You know, you've got tons of options here of what you want to set up. Not really something I would do. Restock agent is okay. What it does is say I had all my bandages in a container. So I want to restock some bandages. So I'm going to target the item I want to restock. I want to restock 50 bandages. Okay. So this is the amount I'm going to restock. This is what I'm going to restock. So if I hit restock now, it says target a container to restock from or target yourself to use your bank box. So I'm going to click the container and it's going to restock 50 bandages from the container for me. So you can add rags, pots, whatever, a whole bunch of stuff, and it'll automatically restock from whatever you click. So you've got 5 restock agents because you can have 5 characters set up or 5 different whatever things set up. It's pretty good. Friends is really good if you're playing with people that aren't in your party. You can add them to your friends list, and what it does is automatically makes it so you won't target them by accident with target closest by notoriety. So like let's say I wanted to target the closest gray because someone like a thief stole from me, but my friend happened to be gray as well, it would always target the thief and ignore my friend. Hotkeys. There's a ton of different hotkeys here. Basically every agent you can make, there's a hotkey for it, so you could just hit your button for restocking if you've already set up the restock agent. Dress, same thing. Items, potions, you're going to want to set these up minus night sight. It's really helpful to be able to hit drink agility or drink heal pot without having to double click it in your backpack, so these are really good. Bandage self, let's say I made a button for this, so I type in my key. If I wanted it on Control Alt or Shift, I could check these off. So like now it'll be Control 1 and I hit set. So I click it or hit Control 1. Who would you like to apply the bandages on? It'll automatically target myself. I'm full life right now, so it won't let me target myself, and that's what it told me. Setting up spells is a little bit different. You have all the different spell circles here, so if I wanted to make a greater heal macro, I'd have to click on 4th circle, click on greater heal, and then select what button I wanted it on. So now my greater heal is on number pad 2. Well, not number pad 2, but 2. Yeah, so you can go through that and see all the different things, the different options, skills, what have you. There's a whole bunch of different targeting options you can mess with. Alright, so let's go to macros. So I'm just going to do a very basic example of how to make a macro here, because I'm going to do another tutorial on more advanced macros. So let's say I wanted to make a macro. I'm going to click new, and I'm going to type in new. So to make a macro, you have to click record, and then it's going to record whatever you do. So if I equip a weapon, it's going to remember that. If I double click my bandages, target myself, it's going to remember that. I'm going to hit stop. So what I've done is I've made a macro to equip my bow and use bandages and target myself. Since I don't use object delay, what I'm going to do is add in some delays here. So I've got lift and equip. So after this, I'm going to do special constructs, insert pause and wait, and I'm going to wait for, or pause for 1000 milliseconds. And it's going to double click, and that's going to wait for the targeter to come up, and then it's going to target myself. So if I hit play, it equips my bow, targets the bandages, and then finishes the macro. So if you wanted to put in like healing yourself, casting a spell on yourself, that type of stuff, you could do it. Video capture. This isn't even working, I'm pretty sure, so I wouldn't bother messing with it. Screenshots. If you wanted to record screenshots of the game, you could set your different directories it goes to by clicking the three dots. If you wanted to go to a certain place, you can take a screenshot now, and it'll show you, it'll save a screenshot of the game. Autodesk screen capture, what this does is when someone on your screen dies, it'll take a screenshot of their death. Normally PvPers use that to trash talk each other. And then help and status you don't need. If you need help with Razor or have questions about it, you can go to www.uoforum.com and go to the Razor section, and people will gladly help you out. Hope this helps.